Good afternoon and welcome to this weekly market update from MRC Markets. There's the 23rd of May 2014. What I'll do today is go through some technical analysis on Euro dollar, cable dollar, Swiss, Aussie and gold. Doing this video on a Friday, so just going to review what's been going on in the markets this week and give an outlook for next week as well. I'll not make any trade calls or recommendations in this video. You trade at your own risk. If you could please read a full disclaimer, which is on our website, and that is www.mrcmarkets.com. That will be appreciated. For any new followers out there, we have 3 moving averages on each of these charts. The red one is a 50 simple moving average, the purple is 100 simple, and the gold is a 200 simple moving average. Okay, then, so what's been going on this week? First of all, let's have a look at the Forex calendar. I mean, it's been quite a mixed sort of bag of data. There's been quite a bit out this week. So, I mean, Monday, nothing much major. I mean, on Tuesday, in terms of data, we had UK CPI that came in just better than expected. Wednesday, we had better retail sales as well from the UK. Then we had FOMC meeting minutes from China. We had HSBC flash manufacturing PMI that was better expected. Thursday, mixed bag of data. You can see there we saw some worse PMIs. Well, the only decent one really was the flash services PMI from Germany and the Eurozone. From the UK, we had second estimate GDP that came in line. We had some weak Canadian data that came out. Existing home sales for the US, that was weak. And then finish off the week, today we've had weaker German IFO data and better US data. So that's been quite a mixed bag in terms of the data this week. In terms of next week, what have we got coming out? So I'm just going to change this time here, just so that's on the GMT setting. So yeah, for this week coming up, so I'm doing this video on a Friday. It's well, in fact, Sunday we have some key people speaking at the European parliamentary elections on Sunday. We have ECB Draghi speaking, and we've got New Zealand trade balance. So keep an eye on that. Monday though it's a UK bank holiday and US bank holidays. So maybe, well, it will definitely be lower in terms of liquidity, but we do have ECB President Draghi speaking again on Monday. So if you are trading, it should be quite interesting there, but do be careful because lower liquidity can get some big spiky moves, and especially as Draghi speaking as well, you could get some interesting moves on Monday. Tuesday, in terms of headline data, we've got US durable goods numbers. We have ECB President Draghi speaking again on Tuesday. And at 3 PM GMT, we've got US consumer confidence figures. On Wednesday, we have, for any to trade the yen, we've got Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda speaking overnight. From New Zealand, with the ANZ business confidence data. Nothing out of the US or the Eurozone or UK on Wednesday. Sorry. Well, in terms of high impact news. On Thursday, we have some Australian private capital expenditure quarter-on-quarter figures. That's overnight. 1:30, we have US preliminary GDP, so key data that on Thursday. Same time comes out the weekly jobless claims as well. And at 3 PM, we have pen-in home sales month-on-month figures. And then on Friday, so this will be near the sort of the monthly candle closes. Key end of the month data. Nothing much on Friday apart from out of Canada. So you've got Canadian GDP there month on month. Lots of mid-tier, so not that much out this week, to be honest. Just a couple of quiet days. Wouldn't be surprised to see. Of course, you can get big moves in quiet days. In terms of the sort of quiet day on Wednesday, you've got German unemployment change. That's, I mean, it's mid-tier, but it could move the markets if it's a very weak or very heavy number. But the key day, really, in terms of data, you got you on Thursday is that US GDP, so keep an eye on that. So maybe a quiet week, but you never know. In terms of charts, what's been going on this week? It's basically following on from last week. You can see in terms of the euro, it's just the weekly chart. It's just sliding down, continuing to retrace. We spoke about before. We've been speaking about this fib for a while. but we formed this sort of double top. So this was the initial move here, but a couple of weeks back, remember, we saw a double top at this level. That reversal candle, there's a key reversal candle. You can see it's been weighing on the euro very heavily, and you can see we're just, this fib is not holding at all. And then I think it's time to look at the sort of the bigger moves here, the bigger picture. And the next sort of swing move, I mean, you get a lot of people looking at that dip and then that one, but in terms of obvious moves on the weekly, and there's the key levels. If you flip it to the monthly as well, it's more obvious to see. This is the move I'm purposely keeping an eye out for. You can see on the monthly, actually, it's interesting. You've got the 50-month moving average sort of coinciding that 50% retrace there. And on the weekly, you've got the 200 lining up with that as well. But in terms of going into next week, I would not be, I mean, looking like, I'm doing this video on a Friday, late on Friday, so the market's going to close in a few hours. I will not be surprised to see next week just trickle lower. Again, just grinding lower. I mean, it's trying to been bouncing off of sort of key round numbers this week, and it's been failing. So I mean, you'd be very brave to be keeping buying any sort of level, any sort of reversal. You've got to be very careful on. The bias is definitely towards the downside, I think. And the key sort of level that's coming up really, in terms of, I mean, because we could get a bounce and it could retrace. 136 is definitely the next sort of key line in the sand, I think. All depending on how euro closes into the end of the day. But you can see, I mean, I've just flipped to the 15-minute chart here, and you can see it's just grinding low. We could even see a test on. We can even see a test of the day, and actually the weekly lows today. So keep an eye on that. But yeah, it's looking very, very heavy, and that's definitely in terms of the week, that's the fib move I'll be keeping an eye out for. In terms of the daily, I mean, still this move, because this is the fib from the high of the year to the low of the year. I mean, if you're looking at, I think there's 78.6, whereabouts is that on this? 78.6, you can see is just below that 136 handle. So that was I'm still personally keeping an eye on that, because we could get a brief sort of bounce up. I mean, it could come off that 78.6, bounce up to the 61.8, and then sell off again. So in terms of intraday stuff, it's definitely a level to keep an eye out for. And then the next sort of dip is this sort of level here, and then you can even sort of look at that one there as well in terms of sort of bounces. But it's definitely looking quite heavy this euro. And I mean, yeah, if we do get any sort of bounce into next week, I've spoken about those other levels, but in terms of the fib moves, if we get any sort of strong bounce up, that's the fib to keep an eye out for. That 50% is coincided with the sort of 138 handle there. And that's pretty much it on the euro, to be honest. Cable is definitely starting to look toppy as well, I think. It could sort of start to catch up with euro. You can see we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. This weekly reversal candle here, key reversal candle. We had that close below the 169s, remember? Key round number. And it looks, I mean, it really could sort of start to tank here if we get any sort of weak UK data. I mean, the thing is, this week we've had quite a lot of good UK data, to be honest. That CPI coming above expected. I mean, obviously it's not good, but it should move the pound up, and it's still sort of fallen down and looks very, very weak. So we could see a very quick move down in cable, but you do have to be careful, because it has been very, very bullish, and it has sort of held off any sort of sell-off. But if it does sell off on cable, which I think it's bound to do soon, then it really could move very quickly towards the downside. I mean, in terms of the only thing I'm really interested in this weekly chart is this fib move here, but of course we're still a long way away from that. But if we do get down there anytime soon, then that's that 50%. You see it coincides with previous support there. But anyway, we're a long way away from that. And in terms of the daily chart, I spoke about this fib in last week's video. So this is from the low of March to the high of May move. Uptrend, retraced down towards the 50%. I think it got front run by a few pips. Rotated higher, but we got capped at that 169, the same level on that weekly chart. Pretty pure that, so a couple of spikes up, daily reversal yesterday. and we've sold off today, so it looks like it's going to come definitely into next week. I'll not be surprised to see it come down towards this 50%. And if you look at it from the other side of the coin, in terms of fibs, you can see they're getting sold off, and that 169 coincided with that 61.8% retracement there. So that was very, very technical. These last couple of days off of that 169s. In terms of the shorter term chart, I mean the 4 hour, you can see it's the same move, and if you're very brave and you want the counter move to that is that there, but you can see that's on the 4 hour. But you can see we've already got a 4 hour close below that 50%. Maybe it'll come down to 61.8, and we'll get maybe a brief bounce. You can see we've got previous support of that 61.8, so it could be an interesting level that. And of course it coincides with a nice round number being the 168 marker, so that should be interesting going into the sort of start of next week on the cable. And that's pretty much it, to be honest with you. On dollar Swiss, we've just started. It's just been grinding higher, really, opposite to sort of euro. I should zoom in there. So the two levels we're talking in terms of this weekly chart. Two levels we're talking about: 0.87s. That's the key level that we've come off for. So a couple of weeks ago, remember we had that lovely reverse off the 0.87s, and it's just rotating higher. I said keep an eye out. I personally still think it will come up and grind higher towards this 50-week moving average, and that's what it's done this week. It's just kept on grinding higher. Not massive. It has been quite a quiet week. I mean, it's not a huge candle, this one, but it's just a standard sort of grind higher candle. And in terms of the fib moves on this, so the counter sort of move is this one here. Remember we spoke about that 50%. Last week's candle closed below, but this week you can see it's just been nice and bullish, and it looks like we get a weekly close above this 50% here, which is the key sell point here on the dollar Swiss. In terms of shorter term stuff, so the daily chart now we're looking at, if we do get a retracement going into next week, this is definitely the fib move I'm going to be looking out for. I think we spoke about it last week, but you can see it's just been grinding higher and higher. I mean, you thought maybe it would have topped out there on that candle, but no, it's just grinded higher the last sort of few days. But that's still definitely the fib move, and that's the same in the 4 hour as well. Same move, nothing different. And if you look at the 1 hour as well, if you zoom out, actually no, you can't quite see that well, so yeah, just stick it to the 4 hour. And that's pretty much it in dollar Swiss. Nothing major I can think of to talk about on there. I mean, looking at the sort of the shorter term charts on the 1 hour, it's been quite tricky, but there has been opportunities. You can see that move there, so I should delete this bigger move. So you can see this is what happened this week, last sort of couple of days. So I don't know why I keep up. So this is a sort of standard sort of small fib move if you play the intraday stuff. Lovely uptrend, retrace. We did get a bit of a bounce of the 50%, and it came back down towards the 61.8. Lovely reversal candle, and it's grinded higher and taken out the 0% line. So that's how you can play it on the shorter term charts. And then if you look at the sort of the smaller moves, nothing. I mean, it hasn't been that sort of clear. I mean, that was another one there. If you look at the really the sort of 30-minute, 15-minute charts. That's how you can sort of play the grind higher. But in terms of a weekly video, it's all about looking at the bigger picture sort of fibs, and that's the one to keep an eye out for. But let's have a look at the Aussie now. Aussie is starting to retrace, similar to sort of cable and euro. Dollar getting strong here. I mean, you can see the last few weeks, remember on Aussie, it's just been chopping sideways, really has been stalling. I think it's at the 0.94, isn't it? Yeah, the 0.94 handle on this Aussie. You can see last week's candle came up, tested it, not quite a reversal candle, but you can see it has acted as a reversal candle. This week it's just sold off here. So the next key point on this weekly chart for me is this 50-week moving average. See how it come. It looks like it will come down towards this 50-week moving average maybe next week. See how it acts that on that level. And in terms of the fibs, it's all about the fib from the lower of the year to the higher of the year on this weekly chart. 50% coincides with previous resistance. So if we do get down to, obviously we're still a long way away from that, but it's just good to keep it in mind as I sort of flip through all these charts, time frames, etc. This 50% comes in at 0.9059. That's the focus on the weekly. Same move there on the daily. I mean, I'm personally not really interested in any of these sort of dip moves there. I don't think they're that great. That's the fib move for me on the daily. And in terms of the shorter term, I mean, it's all about, I think there's a lot of room for Aussie to come down, so I'm personally only really interested in selling opportunities. And one selling opportunity in terms of fib is this one here. So I'm just going to flip it back to day so you can see it a bit clearer. It's that move there, because the previous move acted quite nicely, remember. So that was a nice sell-off. Then it retraced up towards the 78.6, we coincided with that 0.94 handle, and then we've sold off. So the next sort of swing low is that there, and that's the most recent swing high. So you can see that quite clearly on the 4-hour chart. And it looks like we're basing here. A lot of lower wicks here, it's just stalling, so it looks like, I think maybe next week, we can already see the previous 4-hour candle looks quite bullish. Well, there is a bit of upper wick on it, but I would not be surprised to see next week, especially the start of next week, just to retrace towards this upside and sort of eyeing this 50% level, which coincides with a nice round number being the 0 spot, the 93 handle. And that is the focus on Aussie. That's the only sort of focus I'm interested on, really. And I think is the main sort of focus. That's the same on the daily chart there. Same move on the 4-hour and same on the 1-hour there as well. 1 hour has been, I mean, it has been quite sort of just chopping around this week in terms of the last sort of few days. But you can see there's been some nice opportunities on this Aussie. Just in terms, I mean, that's a lovely sort of reversal candle there off of sort of previous support. So just a nice support line there, 0.9214. It's lovely 1-hour candle reversal, and you've got a couple of hours of just pure green candles there. It's a nice sort of scalping opportunity. You're talking about sort of 30-40 pips there. Easy way to do it if you're sort of trading the intraday stuff. But it definitely looks like it's going to pop up next week on Aussie. Gold's been interesting. It's still chopping around, but it's still been very, very technical. You can see it's just been chopping around in this sort of triangular formation, and it's just waiting to sort of squeeze towards either side. I mean, I personally think it's going to squeeze towards the upside because it's an uptrend, and that's a sort of slow retracement. And then you've got this 50% acting as key support here, but the round numbers have been really nice on gold. We've spoken about this 1280s before, and then you've got the 1290s. This sort of the $5 increments, I think, have been really good. So I'll draw 1290s. I mean, so I'm gonna zoom in here on the gold. You can see really, really nice support. This 1280s, lovely support, loads of spikes and nice pops up, and then this 1290s this week has been the real key line in the sand. I think on this gold chart you can see pretty much every day apart from that one there has tested this 1290s and failed to close below. We've closed above each time, so the buyers are definitely trying to keep this up. But then again, the sellers are trying to keep it down as well off of this trendline resistance. But I would not be surprised to see this pop and break up next week. If you get some weak US data, that's going to be the sort of catalyst, really. Or maybe even NFP the week after. You never know. It could just keep on chopping around next week. And then NFP the week after could be the sort of catalyst for the break towards the upside. But on gold, I mean, if you've just flipped it to the 4-hour chart here, it's pretty much self-explanatory, really, how to sort of play this gold chart off the sort of 50%. In terms of just buying opportunities, that's all I've personally been looking at. Just sort of nice reversal candles. You can see it on the 1-hour chart as well. There are lots of spikes. Interesting, lots of opportunities here on gold in terms of intraday stuff. Just looking at the reversal candles off the nice levels. Okay, then that's all for today. Hope you found that video useful. If there's any other pairs that you want me to have a look at next week, then feel free to comment under the YouTube channel or send us a tweet to our Twitter feed, which is @MRC_markets. Hope you have a great bank holiday weekend, and I'll catch you next week. Thanks for watching.